Today, I wanted to figure out the strongest low IP PvP set. No, I'm not talking most versatile. I am not talking the highest mobility. I am speaking about all-in damage potential. And when I mean low IP, I mean 4.1, or in this case, I have flat 5 equivalent. Now, I am testing this with maximum possible mastery and specialization, so we can see just how much damage there is. And I think that there are 3 contenders: the Cursed Staff, the Dagger pair, and the Pike. And so we're going to test all 3 of these without potions, without cape, without an offhand, but we will be using just a regular beef stew. You could also use a 4.1, but that makes the cost 30,000 additional. But this should be a very cheap set, anywhere from 25 to 40k silver each, especially since none of these are artifact weapons, and we only have the artifact boots, but these are really cheap boots. Now, this set, the way it works is we full dump our combo. We become immune for a very short amount of time with the Cleric Robe. While we are immune to all damage, we are using the Assassin Hood, which will then reset the 15-second cooldown on all of our weapons here. But also, these boots that give us a tremendous damage boost, teleport ourselves next to the target, and these also have a 15-second cooldown. So that means we can get our full combo off, hopefully twice in a fight, before dying. Now, I do know that these boots are easily countered by many different things, like, and so are these builds. Like, Reflect will counter Dagger pair, and any kind of Firewall or Face Scale Robe will counter these boots. And just any cloth helmet will boop you away as soon as the boots, bring you close distance. So there are plenty of counters to this, but if you just want some super cheap set to deal tremendous amounts of damage, we're going to run the numbers on all 3. Let's get into it. So as far as item power goes, this set, for example, with no offhand, because these are two-handed weapons, they'll have a higher IP, but for a one-handed weapon, our base item power is 542, but with all of maximum spec and specialization up to 120, we get 822 item power. So that is the equivalent. If you wanted to use like 4.2 or whatever, depending on your specialization, you can match that item power. Though you shouldn't need to, the build would work perfectly fine. It will just deal less damage than I'm showcasing today. So the Cursed Staff combo is as follows. We're going to get at least 2 of the Vile Curses. We will then boots into the enemy, increasing our damage, snapshotting that Death Curse, and then stacking 2 more curses and hitting the Armor Piercer before the Curse Explosion goes off. This will shred the target's armor. And then technically, as soon as we have that going, we would be mostly dead because, again, we are wearing cloth, but that's where the Cleric Robe comes in to give us immunity. We pop Meditation, and unfortunately, unlike other weapons, this combo goes off a little slower. So what that means is that we might not be able to live to do the second combo, so keep that in mind, and let's get started here. Alright, so let's get started with the combo. We're going to cast Qs and auto attacks. That's 2. We will boots on 3. So there's the 3rd curse we're bootsing. We're going to E as soon as that ends into the 4th curse. And we're autoing. Cast a curse anyway. Hit the laser. And that's a big fat explosion. So now we're going to get our cooldowns back. There we go. And we're going to repeat the cycle once again. And we would most likely die about this time. But let's see a hypothetical full combo damage. Alright, we got the 4th curse there, and now we hit the laser before it pops, and that is 7,705 damage, give or take. Anything is going to be dead before we get that full combo off, even if they, like, double potion up. If they're in full 8-4, they're going to take less damage, so maybe an 8-4 player would expect 2,000 to 3,000 damage, which is most of their health, so, I mean, they're going to kill us before we kill them in a straight 1v1, that's just a given. But it's a lot of damage. That's the whole point of these builds. They're cheap and they deal a lot of damage, so if someone doesn't have the defensive counter, you will kill them. So the way Dagger pair works is we're going to be charging up our Q to 3 stacks, and then stabbing the hell out of the target after teleporting to them, and then we will then Chain Slash to continually gap close. You can also be skillful and use Chain Slash to dodge things like Pyroblast or other big nukes from the enemy. It takes a lot of skill and low ping to do it, so I'm not really relying on that kind of stuff. But let's get into it. So essentially, we're going to stack up, and on the 2nd stack, we use boots. There we go. So we're going to boots into the enemy, stab the hell out of them, Chain Slash, pop jacket, pop helmet, get our cooldowns back. Boots again. We still have 3 charges, mind you. And then we're going to stab them, Chain Slash them again, And that's about 3,000, you know, after auto attacks and stuff, 3,500 to 3,900 damage. So it's not as much as the Curse Staff, but it's a way faster combo. And again, most players at low and mid IP don't have that much HP. They will have defensive, so they may or may not die. And if you do, like, have a poison potion you can throw at them, that might finish them off. But listen, I have seen this build, this exact build, kill 7.3 players. I'm not even joking. In a 1v1. I am not joking. Now, we have the Pike combo, and you could use Q1. I'm using Q2 because I just want to just all in the opponent immediately. So I'm going to get 3 stacks. That's 2. And then we get the 3rd stack. We boots onto the target. There we go. We root them with E. We W them. We make sure to keep those Q stacks. Pop jacket, pop helmet. There we go. Keep the stacks. Boots once again. E once again to root them. They won't be rooted as long. And so I think the dummy actually reset its damage. But I'm going to go ahead and look at the recording and let's see who did the most damage. Alright, so here are the results of the 3 tests. Now, the full Curse Staff combo, which you probably won't get off in a fight unless the enemy does very minimal damage or plays hyper defensive. 7,705 damage in 32 seconds. That's 240.78 DPS. Now, the target dummy reads 244. I don't know how the target dummy calculates it. I'm just calculating it based on record time. So maybe real life seconds isn't Albion seconds. I don't know. Single rotation, which is most likely what you're going to get off with the full combo anyway. You will probably have to Cleric Crow before you die or get fully dove. It really depends on what you're fighting. Like, if you're fighting Death Givers or Dagger Pair or something, you're just dead anyway. And anyway, so single rotation. If you just get off the single rotation on Curse Staff, it's 3,708 damage in 14 seconds. And here's the DPS numbers. Now, the Dagger Pair is less damage in the full rotation, until you factor in the bleeding from the Dagger Pair. So if you just land that second Dagger Pair stab, that means you're doing upwards of 3,480 damage, which if people have, you know, Guardian Helmet, if they have Guardian Helmet against Curse Staff, you can't curse them anyway. They'll just remove the stacks. And the same goes for Dagger Pair. They'll absorb a lot of the damage. They're going to not bleed after they use the helmet, and so on and so forth. But you'll see the DPS numbers here. It's much faster, 11 seconds for the combo, for both, by the way. That includes the reset. All right, now after the bleed and a few auto attacks, you know, that damage number jumps up to 3,922 in 14 seconds, which matches the time it takes to do the Curse Staff rotation, and it beats the Curse Staff damage single rotation by 200-something damage. Now, if you don't kill the target with Dagger Pair, and they have mobility, you can't catch them, and if they can just range you or kite you, you're dead at this point. So you have to kill them with this combo, right? Now, for the Pike, the first wave was 1,714 in 6 seconds. All right, now it takes about 3 seconds to, you know, pop jacket, pop your helmet, right? The second wave is the same exact damage, and the combined damage, 3,428. You'll notice that that's lower than the Curse Staff, okay? And it takes 15 seconds to pull off instead of, you know, with the Dagger Pair, 14 seconds. So you have 1 extra second of combat time for less damage. But if you are a spear user, it is an option for ganking. You just won't deal as much damage as the Dagger Pair or Curse Staff. Also, note that the second root on Pike suffers diminishing returns, so it won't hold someone still as long for your W. But also do note that if they have, like, you know, 7.3 equipment, you're not going to root them for more than, like, half a second anyway, because their IP is so high. That means your crowd control duration is very low. Now, a few things you can use to boost the damage even further beyond. Step 1 is a Keeper Cape. This thing will give you a 50% damage buff for 5 seconds whenever your HP drops below 70%. So to know if you're going to drop below 70%, it is 1 full life bar right here, and then like maybe less than half of your second life bar, because each of these bars is 20% of your maximum HP. So that would be 80%, and then 70 would be somewhere around the middle there, a little bit. And while I can't simulate this damage on a target dummy for you, 50% is a substantial increase. All right, these boots give you a 35% increase, and this beef stew gives you a almost 13.5%. So imagine the damage you deal without the boots or the food buff, And that's how much more damage you're getting from the cape and then some. The second thing would be Major Poison Potion. When you throw this at a person who is not on a mount, it does 475 true damage against a player. So that's more damage. I mean, more damage is a good thing. Most players, like right now in a flat 5 set, I have 2.4 thousand HP. And so this would drop me below 2,000, okay? So that's 20% of my life. So a Poison Potion is going to take one whole bar away from me, okay? Now, obviously, the targets you're going to be fighting with these sets are of a higher quality. They're going to be, you know, way higher IP than you. They're going to be wearing, like, Tier 7, Tier 8 gear. And so they'll have around 3,000, 3,500 HP, depending on what kind of weapon they have. And, yeah, so that every little bit helps. But do note that this potion, you know, one of these costs about 10,000, and this cape costs about 100k. So it's up to you if you want to spend the money. Well, that's all I got. I'd love to show off the builds in, like, PvP and stuff, but the servers are going down, and I don't have time for it. Sorry. But hey, if you like this information, let me know in the comments. Let me know what kind of weapons you like and builds you like to compare next. All that cool stuff. Click the video on the right side of your screen. And if you don't, what's going to happen is you're going to be waiting in line forever. And then by the time you get to the order drive-through thing to order what you want, they're going to be out of it. Oops. You waited in a line behind 14 cars for nothing.